Welcome back to Nigeria, the road to 2019. I'm Charles Anyekolo. Now, in the era of the two dominant parties, the ruling All Progressives Congress and the People's Democratic Party, there are growing calls in Nigeria for some sort of revolutionary action that would lead to a break with their conventional modes of political action. But the challenge remains how to formulate a precise modus operandi for the acquisition of power beyond the militant and marvelously emotional rhetoric calling for change. Well, one party that's been around for over 20 years and has been trying to pull power away from the bigger parties is the Progressive People's Alliance, or PPA. Pastor Uche Nwole is a senior member of the PPA and a governorship aspirant in the southeast state of Imo on the platform of the PPA. And Pastor Nwole joins me now in the studio. Thank you very much indeed for coming in.
Thank you.
First of all, give us the history of your party, the Progressive People's Alliance.
Well, PPA, as is known, in short, is a party that has been around for a while, and is a party that the foundation was laid on the need for diversity, because back in the era, it has always been the big parties monopolizing the power, and our founding fathers decided to come up with a solution where power can be diversified. And in line with that, PPA was formed. It's a Christian-based party that our logo is formed from the praying hands of people that believe in their destiny is in God's hands. And because of our trust in God, God paid off that trust by giving PPA the first 2 states in Nigeria. Amongst all the parties, the smaller parties, there are none that can say they have had the success story PPA has had.
And what are those states?
The states of Abia, PPA ushered in Governor Theodore Orji. In Imo State as well, PPA ushered in Ikedi Ohakim in 2007.
But of course, as soon as they got in, they left your party.
Well, it depends on individuals and their understanding about politics. For someone like me, I don't think a party that pulls me through a victory will be a party I would dump for any.
Right. So is your party limiting itself to the state level of operation?
Not at all. It's a national party. We've had offices won across the nation, House of Reps, House of Assembly.
But you're not fielding presidential candidates.
No, we're not fielding presidential candidates.
Right.
That's correct. But as it
So
stands
your
today,
focus is on the state level.
on the state levels, federal levels, like positions, Senate and all
Parliamentary
that. Parliamentary levels,
Right.
yes. We're everywhere. And on that note, we know that PPA has come back again in a bang, and we're hopeful that because of the situation that is, hovering all over the place, the state of uncertainty, you understand, people are confused on what to do. People have lost trust in the big parties because of the nature of promises they come with, and at the end of the day, when they win, it's all different story. So they want parties that can be trusted, parties that are broad-based with full trust in God, not people that will come and use people and dump people.
Well, the problem is that trust,
Yes.
there is, I agree with you, a trust deficit.
That's right.
But the question is whether that trust deficit, whether the credit is being given to parties like your own. Because the challenge for you is that people may be dissatisfied with the APC and the PDP, but they're not entirely convinced that you're the ones who can bring the country or their state back to the right path of rectitude. You see what I mean?
Yes.
Many of them believe that you don't have the capacity to deliver on the things that you do. And there is also a sense in Nigeria that goes beyond parties, that, politicians are all the same. It doesn't matter which party they're on.
That's right.
Or they're in.
Yeah, like I said, it depends on the individual. My focus here is on, we are not thinking about parties, we're talking about the persons the parties present as their candidates. the pedigree of the persons go a long way to usher in what they will do as per the promises they make before coming into office. In our own case, like I said, as a Christian-based party, we believe in God, and we are Christians all the way, and we don't see ourselves reneging or going back from the promises we're giving to the people.
Don't you think that by labeling yourself
Yeah.
a Christian party, and to some extent limiting your scope of operation, political operation within the southeast, you're automatically alienating a huge swathe of Nigerians who may not be either Christian or ethnically Igbo?
Yes, let me correct that. Well, sorry, I used the language Christian, like, with religious party. Broad-based, whether you're Muslim,
well,
whether you're
that's a Freudian slip.
Sorry, that's
what it is that it tells us basically that that's what you are.
No, seriously, in Nigeria today, why the people are losing out because of they don't understand the people they put in office. Before you put somebody in office, check the pedigree of the person, check the antecedents of the fellow, for you to know whether that person, by the things of all that he's been doing in his life, all the way before coming into politics.
Yeah, but just because somebody is a pastor doesn't mean that they are above board. I mean, there have been lots and lots of issues, not just in Nigeria, but around the world. In fact, there have been lots of calls in Nigeria for churches and so on to be much more tightly regulated, because there have been incidents, I mean, of all kinds of things taking place within those churches, and all kinds of people taking advantage of people who attend those churches. So, I mean, you can't just say that because you're a Christian. It sounds like something you're touting as a political, or trying to give yourself some sort of political advantage without the attendant sort of checks and balances to prove that you are in fact what you say you are.
No, in life, like I said, for anybody to come up and say you're a pastor, you're a man of God, first you should know that everything in life that we do today, you must realize the fact that all things are all vanishous. Vanity upon vanity. That is nothing, that nobody has come here to stay forever. So whatever you think about in life is at the end of the journey in life. What are you going to leave? What legacies are you going to leave for people to look at, for people to say, wow, this is good to be a religious person?
Yeah, but you don't need to be in church to do that.
No, I know.
I mean, or in a mosque. I mean, and human beings generally living within the community of other human beings, there's a sense of responsibility. I mean, if you go to countries like England, for example, new statistics, or the UK, the new statistics showed that 94% of people don't go to church, and yet it's a very responsible society where people who are given who win political office conduct that office with all the respect and all the honesty and above boardness, if you like, that's due. I mean, so it doesn't really matter whether you're a Christian or not. I mean, people can be driven by sort of ethics.
Yes,
you see what I mean?
I agree with you, but to an extent, I encountered that one when I went for a crusade in the United Kingdom. What you're just saying now, I discovered that most of the people there, I asked my colleagues that are pastors, that are heading several churches, are all blacks membership, very few white people, and I was not happy about that. I was asking my friends, why is it the people who are living in their country, you don't win their souls for God, for them to come to church? It was in my investigations, and I found out what you just said, that yes, though they don't go to church, they are placed out of people that are called humanities, who know, though they don't go to church, but they do the things that God expects them, human beings, to do. To live above board, to not to break the law, to do things to mankind, to be good. And when they are rich, they have their foundations that they use in helping the less privileged. Those is what religion teaches us as well. But some of them, because of the way they are, they also find themselves wanting in certain areas. But for us to be what we are, where we come from, our background. Remember, they brought religion to us in Africa, but here. So because of what we are, and
now you've taken over.
We're taking over. We're turning it back to them, because the Bible says the first shall be the last, and the last shall be the first. So as we stand today, I'm telling you, if we agree as a nation, we are God-fearing, and we believe that whatever we do today, whatever a man sows, whatever you lay your hands on, whatever you do here, we'll be waiting for you tomorrow somewhere. If you have that at the back of your mind, the kind of corruption in our system will be reduced.
But is there some sort of advantage that being a Christian party gives you with the voters or with your supporters? I mean, do you go to people and say, oh, we're a Christian party, and people say, okay, you're a Christian, we're going to join your party? Does that happen a lot?
Well, to an extent, like I said, it depends on how you carry yourself, how you present yourself. You talked about the churches and the shortcomings that we're having today. The Orthodox churches in Nigeria, they don't have such problems. They are the churches that we all are promoting now, the Pentecostal, arm of the religion. Unfortunately, some of our people go into vices or programs in their lives based on where they're coming from, their understanding, or where they're heading to. For someone like me, I've been in politics. I've been a businessman. I've been endowed, and God has given me all that I require in life. For me to seek God at the later part of my life, to say, because I've seen that all things in life are all vanishous, and because things are all vanity, that nobody's carrying it anywhere. My concern today is how to better the lot of my people. My concern today is how Nigerians will fare better, how Nigerians will be recognized as better citizens all over the world. Our image is battered. People go anywhere and they label us all sorts of names, whereas we are very good people. But the problem that is lacking is that the government does not think of the citizens the way they ought to think about them. They're not supposed to package their citizens the way an American citizen is part of his country. An American citizen will die where his flag is burnt, but that does not apply to our citizens. How could that be mended? That is the concern of people like us. We want somebody to walk on the street stall. I am a Nigerian anywhere, any place. You understand? I'm a Nigerian, and because of I'm a Nigerian, I can never allow anyone to ridicule my nation, ridicule my offices, or the offices the people of my citizens occupy in governance. A lot of mistakes have been made. Someone that is holding a certain office that is being recognized outside the country as maybe a Senate president or this office that we are holding, when we come ourselves and rub our names on the mud, they will not expect the external countries, the foreign countries themselves, to begin to respect you. You know you voted the person in an office. For instance, my president today, he's being voted by all the citizens of this country as our president. How on earth will you go about ridiculing the same man, calling him names, branding him, saying things?
Well, not everybody voted for him.
No, I know not everybody voted for him, but in the constitution of Nigeria, as long as he carries the majority of the votes, so he carries the mandate of everybody. He cannot say, because I didn't vote for him, he's not your president. Once that day he takes oath of office and has been elected and has been sworn in as the president, he is the president of every citizen of this nation, and that's how it's ought to be.
And so he should be allowed to just do whatever he wants to do.
Not do whatever he wants. There are checks and balances, but there are things our people must learn to do. When you have made a king, you give him a mandate. You not rob the same king mud. When you rob him more and you expect another person from outside to respect the other king, it's not possible. The same charity begins at home. When we begin to learn to know that power comes from God, and when God gives power to anybody, it is not within your power to question God what he has done. All you need to say is, if there's any problem with that person, go back to God who gives power. Pray God, Lord, there are changes that can come from God and not from man.
There's a big argument about whether or not God actually intervenes in human affairs, but that's a discussion for another day, because this is not a discussion about religion. What I want to ask you is, how much do you think Nigerians crave change away from the two main political parties? And what evidence is there that they in fact crave that change?
I would like to give you this answer after the May 29th election, because the results are there. As we speak today, people are fed up with all. Nobody today believes in.
Yeah, but they're going to vote for either the APC or the PDP.
No. They're going to vote on individuals this time. This time is not about party. This time is about individuals. The merits of one is going to carry him on the day of the election.
They've always done that.
That was before. I said before.
No, what I mean is that they've always voted based on the candidates who emerge from the big parties. And then it is on that level, once you then get to the big parties, that they start talking about, well, what's this personality and the other personality. See what I mean? There is no way that the smaller parties are going to be able to compete with those big parties on the national stage.
No, I disagree with you. I disagree with you on that. Like I said to you earlier, I said it's a discussion for another day. Whatever I do, because I'm a religious person, I'm a servant of God, I never will do or conduct myself or do anything outside the confines of my belief. Because I know that the breath that I have today comes from God.
Yeah, but that's not enough to win you the election.
No. It is when God says yes on any situation. Because it is the will of God that Buhari is our president, and then nobody can change that. Whatever God decides in 2019, that's what's going to be in place. Right. So as I speak to you now, the next election is not going to be about the big parties, because the big parties have deceived the nation a lot. Because a party is popular, they will go and get a goat without brains and give him a position. Everybody says because they believe on that party, being a major party. Whether he's a goat or a dog, they don't give a damn. They don't allow him to enter. It is only when he enters office.
Yeah, but you're contradicting what you're saying. I mean, you just said that it was God who appoints, makes people leaders, and now you're saying they bring a goat and put it in there, and if he wins, it becomes God's anointed.
Yes,
I mean,
everything happens for a reason. Sometimes you have a good king, sometimes you have a bad one. It's on the yearnings of the people. If I take you back, don't make me religious. In the Bible that I preach, when we talked about the Israelites back in the days, they were being ruled by judges. Then they didn't know that being ruled by judges were that God himself was intervening and was really taking care of them. They said they wanted to be like other people. They wanted to be like other nations that had kings and had people that were ruling them. God permitted their yearnings, and then Saul was given to them until Saul came into their governance and took them to the mountaintop, brought them down again and brought this grace that God said, okay, this is them, before David came and took over.
Right.
So as we speak today, the country we are in, people have had enough. People are disgruntled over the things that the parties have brought to them. That is why every day the INEC is working hard to register as many parties as possible in order to give everybody the chance.
Right. Okay. Let me ask you this then.
Yes.
Beyond the things that you've said so far,
Yes.
because obviously we have to give equal opportunity to all the parties that come to us to express themselves. That's the law.
That's right.
What is it that you personally want? You're running as an aspirant. Yeah, at the moment you're an aspirant in Imo State.
That's right.
A governorship aspirant.
That's correct.
And in spite of the fact that your party has put forward a candidate,
That's correct.
you're still hoping that God will do something and come and remove that person and put you in their place. Is that right?
Whatever God does is
No,
right.
I'm asking you a question.
That's what I'm saying. I said whatever, even as a
No, I'm asking you what your intention is.
is for my party to win.
Right, but you would like to be the
If it becomes the will of God.
no, but you'd like to be the candidate.
I would have wished I am the candidate for today.
Right, you're saying you would have wished.
Yes, if I were the candidate
Have you
today.
still got designs on the candidature of the governorship in the state?
There is nothing impossible for God to do. I
No,
said
you
to
keep talking about God. I'm talking to you.
Yes.
I'm talking to you
Yes.
as a person.
Yes, the
sitting
Constitution
in front of me.
says. The Constitution says.
Pastor Uche Nwole.
That's correct.
What is your ambition? What's your political ambition at present?
Political ambition is for one, that my party first before me. My party can win the election for Imo, PPA. Secondly, if the party leadership finds it possible, because the election and the timetable says we still have time for substitution, they still look at my pedigree and look at my credentials and say, oh, they're still thinking about it, and decide to say I'm the better man to go for their job. Before the date of the closure of the substitution, and they put my name there.
So there is a substitution period.
That's correct.
That is still open
That is still
with
open.
the Independent Electoral
That's
Commission.
correct.
In other words, the parties have till December or something. Is that right?
Yeah, it's 2nd of December.
Right, to substitute the
Whatever,
candidate.
that's
And so
correct.
you're working towards a substitution.
I am praying. I'm wishing God to do the rest for me.
Right, okay. And what is it that drives you in that direction?
Is the call from the people who know my pedigree, who have seen and heard about my contributions in the past.
But did your party hold primary elections?
Yes, we did.
And somebody else won?
For now, yes.
So why would you want to disrupt that? I don't understand.
I'm not disrupting.
I mean, since you're very keen to allow the party and the party processes to take sort of effect, why would you say that you're still hoping that they'll remove the person who's there? I mean, the people voted for that person. You talked about democracy. You talked about the incumbent president.
That's correct. There are some internal party issues
right,
that must meet the constitutional requirements.
And so you're challenging that.
So those things are the things we are looking up to. That.
Yeah, so what I'm
Just
saying is that
yes.
you're essentially challenging.
Yes, that's right.
Right. So you're challenging the person who won.
Yes, what we're trying
Right.
to see.
And you're saying that, well, there is a sense of impropriety here.
Yes.
Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. What do you have to offer to the people of Imo State?
Wow.
You on a personal level.
Restoration, hope, truthfulness, for their accessibility to what is the dividends of democracy God has given to them. All these things have been denied them in the last 8 years. And it's painful to see the number of pensioners in my state that drop dead on a daily basis. the union of teachers that are deprived their salaries, the people, the workers, it's uncountable. The anomalies that have taken place in my state, and I am crying to God every day, praying that God will give us the opportunity, that restoration, total restoration, with a fear. If you don't have the fear of God, people don't know when they cost themselves. You don't go asking or taking things that don't belong to you. You don't go taking things or eating more than your capacity. Because once you drink water more than you can carry, it becomes a sin. Because the body that you carry is the temple of God. So when you abuse it, you're abusing the God that has created you. So people who had gone into that place, forgotten that there is life, time to live, time to be born, and time to die. And that once you leave this world, that everything in this earth, you don't have it. Even if you drop dead, your relations will search your pocket and see whether there's any remnant of anything that they'll take it away. If you're conscious of the fact that there is life and there is time to go, you'll be able to think about the legacy you leave behind. And for your family as well. You don't put your family in harm's way by doing things that about thinking that you are God or whatever. Nobody can play God. Nobody can hold another person's destiny down. Nobody can, pin down another fellow because he wants to show proneness or whatever on his whatever.
Well, I mean, you told us that your party is essentially a Christian party.
That's correct.
So presumably, the person who won the primaries and defeated you in effect at the primaries is also a Christian.
I wouldn't say. That's why I said there are issues. I wouldn't accept the defeat, but there are issues of the party.
Right. So are you saying that some level of fraud took place that denied you?
There is no human being that is above mistakes.
No, I'm asking you a question.
It's not fraud.
So what is it?
There are mistakes. I won't call them fraud. Yeah, there are mistakes. That is why the pen have erasers.
Right, but an election took place and somebody won that election. You're saying that the election was wrongly given to that person, or that the ballots, the votes or whatever were wrongly counted and somebody was given more votes than they should have got?
The mistakes are the things that the party is addressing at the moment. That's what the party is addressing at the moment. Whatever they decide at the end of the day.
Yeah, but you challenge that. So what was the basis of your challenge?
Because of the errors that was.
And what were those errors?
They are human errors.
Yeah, but what were those errors?
These are our party internal matters.
Right.
I don't wish to discuss openly, but because I have to respect the hierarchy of the party, respect their decision, because I may prompt or preempt something that that I was still handling.
But I mean, the party should be in the public eye.
They are, but like I said, laws are laws. There are laws that are governing every establishment, every institution, and the laws of my party, I would not want to stand here and break it.
So your party essentially says, no, you don't need to reveal the reasons why you're challenging this.
I have to respect them so that they can do their work properly. At the end of the day, whatever decision they come up with.
Okay, Pastor Uche Nwole, governorship aspirant in the Progressive People's Alliance in Imo State. Thank you very much indeed.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Well, that's it for this edition of Nigeria, The Road to 2019. Join us again for a fresh edition tomorrow. From me and the entire team here in Abuja, bye-bye, and thank you for watching. Thank you very much indeed.